Hello, my name is Shayne Larango, and I was just named the biggest liar in Texas. I was in the Texas State Liars Contest at the George West Story Fest, and this is my winning story. It all started one Saturday when my husband and I had to go to the store to pick up some cans of Rotel and Great Northern beans and white shoe peg corn because he was craving some white chicken chili. Now, we drove past one of those parking lot carnivals on the way home, and we thought we would stop and bring back some fun from our youth. And I am telling you, we had so much fun. We did not even leave till they shut it down. So it was late Saturday night when we got back to the house, all Twitter pated on love and cotton candy and blinking lights and twirly rides. Oh, but we still needed to put away the canned goods. And my husband thought that I needed to improve my pitching arm because I had not knocked down a single milk can at the carnival games. And he said, "Here, pitch me the cans." So I started pitching in the cans from across the kitchen, and we were laughing and being silly. And it was all fun and games until my husband got hurt. Now, I don't know what happened. It could have been that our timing was off. Or there's a different dynamic between regular sized cans and those little cans of white shoe peg corn. But anyway, I threw him that corn, and instead of catching it, that can hit him right above his left eye. Pow! Thump! He went down like a sack of potatoes, and blood started gushing out of his head. Now, I'm going to tell y'all right now, I cannot handle the sight of blood. So I turn away, grab my phone, and call 911. And I start hollering his name. And he is not responding in words, but I knew he was still alive because I could hear him moaning. Now, I also knew I had to keep pressure on that wound, but I knew that I could not see or touch that blood. So while I'm talking to that 911 operator, I go grab one of our giant beach towels and a plastic garbage bag because I just can't risk that blood soaking through the towel. And I am multitasking and distracted, and that operator asks me what happened, and I tell him I hit my husband upside the head with a can of shoe peg corn. Now, apparently I had the presence of mind to know exactly what was in that can, but I did not have the presence of mind to include the word accidentally. And apparently, hitting your husband upside the head with a can of shoe peg corn sets off the alarm bells at 911. So not only does he send out the ambulance, he sends out the police too. Now, I'd already told him that I'd unlocked the front door and that we were in the kitchen. So when the police walk in and see me holding a big beach towel and a plastic garbage bag over my husband's head, they think that I am trying to suffocate him. And my goodness, they snatch me up quicker than I can say, "Keep pressure on the wound." And I've got my hands handcuffed behind my back, and I am being briskly shoved out my front door to a waiting police car with no questions asked. But you can be sure I was trying to give them lots of answers. Now, the next thing I know, I am in the jailhouse, and they are taking my jewelry and my shoes and my mugshot, and good gravy Marie, they didn't even let me run a comb through my hair, and it is still wild from the whippet and the zipper rides. And then they give me a jumpsuit and a cavity search and a scratchy wool blanket, lock me in a jail cell, and tell me the judge will not be there till Monday. Now, y'all, I think that I was in a state of shock at that point because all I could think about is how this was going to mess up my perfect attendance record at the First Baptist Church. I was fairly certain that incarceration would not be an excused absence from Sunday school. Now, this process took till like the middle of the night, and the main lights were turned off, but I could tell that I was in a large common room with smaller cells that opened off from it, and I was just so scared. I sat in that room with my back against the wall, praying that my husband would be all right and that nothing or nobody was going to get me in the middle of the night. Now, the next morning, we all had to go get a tray with eggs and toast and a cup of coffee, and I was last in line. and I took the only available seat open across from a woman who I thought looked as hard as nails. Of course, there was my hair and the mascara trails from my tears down my cheeks that made me look like the wild woman from Borneo, but they do not have mirrors in the jailhouse. So I'm sitting there clutching my styrofoam cup of coffee like a life preserver in a hurricane, and that hardened woman says, "You gonna eat that?" Oh, y'all, I couldn't even think about food, so I just shook my head and scooched my tray over towards her, and she took a big old bite like she was staking claim with my eggs and said, "So, what are you in for?" Now, the first thing that went through my mind was, what? People really ask that? I thought that was only in the movies. And during that moment of silence, I noticed that every eye in the place was on me. Now, I don't think I could have lied, but I was wondering what was going to happen when I told the truth. Well, they charged me with assault with a deadly weapon, and I was just about to clarify that it was just one of those little cans of white shoe peg corn when I heard a gasp from everybody in the room. And I didn't know if that was good or bad, so I just stopped talking. "Who'd you assault?" "My husband." "He go to jail too?" "No, they took him to the hospital." Well, right then and there, that hardened woman offered me her cup of coffee. Now, I politely declined because my mama has taught me not to drink after other people, but I noticed there was a change in the room, and I was wondering what was happening. After the guard came and picked up our trays, this skinny old toothless woman came up to me and said, "Honey child, let me plait your hair." Now, y'all, I was feeling like a hot mess, and you women know that it's always nice to get your hair done when you're feeling a little stressed. So I just nodded and sat down at her feet, and while she was finger combing through all of this, she was whispering in my ear, "Now that one over there, she couldn't get the money to pay her tickets. And that one, she's in for writing hot checks." And as this list went on, I started thinking, well, these really aren't dangerous women. And then she pointed at that woman that I had sat across from at breakfast and said, "She was mama because she got caught with a little too much marijuana." And then she tore a strip off the cuff of her jumpsuit and tied off the end of my braid and said, "But you, trying to kill your husband? That makes you big mama now." Right then and there, I thought that I was going to be able to survive my stay in jail. But in the meantime, my husband regained consciousness, got released from the hospital, called up the judge who he plays golf with, and got me released before lunch. But I'll tell y'all, I am a little sad about that, because those women were going to teach me how to paint pictures using the color off the candy shells of M&Ms that afternoon. And I was thinking, that might just be a fun craft for the next Vacation Bible School.